All right, so what's the length? What's the area formula again? How do we find area of a rectangle or a square? Length times width. Okay, so look, if area is length times width, right? And I know the area is this number. I don't know this, but I know this. Wouldn't it make sense that you're dividing? Right? Yeah, it would, because let's think about this way. This is kind of close to 9, right? 9 is equal to something times around 3. You know in your head going, oh wait, it's called the inverse. How do we get that missing part? By the way, this is an equation. So in algebra, believe it or not, it would look like this. So in algebra, it would be a variable, like maybe x. That's why we don't use x's anymore, because it is actually a letter that means something. So we figure out what x is, which is our length, right? So you are dividing. Now here's the part we got to think about. What is the correct order? What would be the order in which I would get my answer? What would you say here? I'm going to go ahead and put this right here. What would you start out with? Would you do 3 2/3 divided by 8 or 8 divided by 3 2/3? Which one do you think it goes first? Yeah, you start out with area. That's what you know, right? The whole area? Correct. So 8 3/4 divided by 3 2/3. Now, on the air test, they didn't ask you to like solve it. Did anybody solve this one? Anyone solve it? Okay, let's solve it then. Let's solve it first. Does it make sense though why it's this way, not the other way around? Because this one is the answer. I already know the area is this number. And I'm going to cut it by the length, or the width, to find the length. So let's go and do this one together then. This is something over 4. 32, 35. Keep the first. We're not flipping anything. All Miss Edwards is doing is flipping it or fixing it. Of course, this one has to be a pain. So that's step 1. Step 2, keep the first, multiply by the reciprocal. 335s make 105? I got 105 over 44. How do I do my math? Good? You know, I'm not always perfect. I make mistakes. So. All right, so let's figure this out. My answer, I'm going to tell you right now, I think my answer is around 3. Why? Because this is kind of close to 9, and this is really close to 4. But let's just say 3 for the sake of the problem. 3 times 3 is close to 9, right? So my answer should be around that. So 105. So let me try 3. I think 3 is too big. I think it's actually 2. Now I know 3 is too big because 40 times 3 would be 120, and I'm already too big right there. Does that make sense? Okay, would you get 2 and some change? What did you say? 17/44. Okay, so 2 and 17 over 44. How I know I'm done? That's fine. 17 is fine. Because there are no two numbers that you can multiply together other than 1 and 17. You get 17 without going into decimal. Very good. Okay, so this is the actual question on the air test. Which expression would be used to calculate length in feet of the rectangle? So, if you logically think about it, right? Wouldn't these answers give you the same? Because order doesn't matter when you multiply. Because this would literally, you can't pick 2, so clearly it's not this one or this one, because those would give you the same exact answers. And so that's where we were at here. And this is the one you told me to select. There you go. So this is why they did that. If you knew anything about multiplication, I could flip it around and get the same answer. So it clearly can't be those two. It's all about reading the question. This is called an expression. An expression has no equal sign. Okay, we're kind of comparing two different things. Whereas an equation equation has an equal sign. Okay? All right. So I want you to go up to the board. People online, go ahead and do this one and type your answer in the chat. Okay, you guys go up to the board now. Yep, do this one onto the board. A container has 17 and one half cups of lemonade. Asher gives each of his classmates 5/6 of a cup. Wow, he's jipping them. They don't even get a cup. Rude. Rudy Tuesdays. I always like to say that. How many classmates does Asher give lemonade to? So we can't have a fraction of a person, right? Because that wouldn't make any sense. So chances are this is going to be a whole number. What are you starting out with? So he has a container full of lemonade. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to draw a nice pretty picture. That was a horrible one. I'm going to get it. It's going to look really cool. Look at that. Lemonade. There you go. And he's going to pour little cups for each of his friends. So pretend that's a cup, and here's a cup. What are we going to get? Okay, some people are already participating in the chat. Ooh, okay. So far I have 2 people saying the same thing. People online, when they're up at the board, that's when you're also allowed to type in the chat. If you're done, go back to your seat. Anybody need help? Okay, what are you gonna start out with? No. You're gonna start with a little baby cup, or you're gonna start out with a picture of lemonade?
He's dividing the lemonade pitcher into baby
There you
cups.
go. You've got the picture of one stuff, he's gonna pour them out into each of the cups, right? So we're gonna start out with 17 and 1/2 or 5/6. Okay, and it's division because you're splitting it into groups. You're splitting it into groups. Now, you gotta be careful with this one though, because I know that this says each, but that's not gonna help you, right? You gotta think about it. He's taking this and he's giving it to each of the glasses. So it actually is division. So this one, you had to use common sense to figure it out. Okay? So we got another one. That's the first step, right? You're going to make that one. The first step, making a profit.
Next, we're going
Step 2. Keep the first and multiply by the second. Okay, looks like kids online say 21. I got a 21, 21. I got another 21. All right, looks like we're getting 21. Just make sure you guys see that are up there get that as well. Okay, so it is 21. So you should have had 17 and 1/2 cut split into 5/6 cups. Because I'm pouring it out, right? Pouring it to each person. I know it says each, but in this case, you had to use that common sense. This is actually, in this problem, is really division. So just because you see the word each, you gotta make sure, does that answer even gonna make sense? I can't have more than 17 and 1/2 cups of lemonade, because if you multiply, you would have a bigger number, and that clearly, where am I getting it, from the air? Lemonade, lemonade. God, I sound like Beyonce or something. That's in the lemonade song. Anyways, okay, what was this? What you gotta get on this one? 35, and then multiply by the reciprocal. By the way, I can show you my cross multiplication. I divide by that 2, I get 1. Divide by that 2, I get 3. Divide by that by 5, I get 1. Divide by, You see how that's 21 over 1, which is 21. That's another way to do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so. Okay, so for this one, go up to the board again. People online, this will be our last one, I do believe. Actually, I have 2 more. So these ones you guys gotta stay up at the board. People online go and do this one as well. So a truck driver, vroom, 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 drove, wow, 300 miles in 6.5 hours, or 6 3/4 hours, which is 6 hours and 45 minutes, right? Okay. Here's where it gives it away. In the question, how many miles per hour did the truck driver drive? Now, logically, can a truck go over 100 miles per hour? No, unless we have some crazy truck that doesn't have any stuff on it, right? Otherwise, I'm getting out of the way. I'm not gonna be in front of that truck. I'll be like, you can go, you can go. All right, but remember we talked about if it's in the question, it says miles per hour, meaning for 1 hour, right? Did we talk about that's a rate or a unit rate? Right? So we want to know how many miles per hour. So you literally go in that order. So miles per hour. So miles per hour is what we call a rate. And we want to know how far I'm going in 1 hour. So see if you set it up correctly. Now the first one's a whole number, so remember we put that over 1. Don't forget to multiply by the reciprocal, because if your answer does not make any sense, then you know you either forgot to flip or something. Okay, good. Now use my tricks with the zeros. What's that? You're done for. 3 times 4. 12 with 2 zeros. There's the trick. Those who are online, go ahead and type your answer in the chat once you get it. Okay, change it first. And do it proper first. So that would be 4. Plus 3. Now follow the rules. See how slow this truck driver is. Be slow. Be a slow driver. Looks like I'm getting a 4 out of the first digit. Let's see. Right? Yep, we did it right because this is still lower than this. So write it as a mixed number. It should be a mixed number, but it can be. Can it be simplified? Yes, it can. It can be simplified because the 2 numbers do have something in common. Okay. So it's a mile per hour, right? This is per division. You got this answer? It's gonna be like a ridiculous speed, like 6 miles. You're not gonna go 6 miles, right? Does that make sense? Miles per hour or miles per hour? So you have this first, and then divide by 27 over the 4. Now I'm going to do what other. What you guys do? Yeah. Multiply, but it doesn't make any sense, right?
This is a trivial question.
Flip it upside down.
80 miles an
All right, what do we get? So people online are getting Peyton correct, but you can simplify it. AU, you gotta make it a mixed number, but I do believe that's what the kids got here. Magnolia, perfect. That is in lowest terms. Good job. Good job. You should get a mixed number. I agree with Magnolias. Do you see that right there? Yeah. So online, you should have started out like this. Because this is miles per hour. So this is 300 over 1 divided by 27 over 4. So then I keep the first, multiply by the reciprocal. You can use my trick with the zeros. This is 1200 divided by 27. And you simplify it. That's correct though, honey. That is correct. There's a common factor they share. So 1200 divided by 27. That's what I got. Does that make sense? Okay, you can have there.
So 120.
Oh, you're about to tell you the hurry.
I didn't simplify it.
That's what I- It's okay, it's okay. You don't have to look at this, as long as you see what I did. Oh, yeah.
120 minus 1. Yeah, there we go. 120. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, last one, and then I'm gonna have you guys start your assignment, okay? You guys have devices. The internet's not working. It's fine, because typically, if you were in my class normally, I barely have time to start home. So it will be at, I have enough to give them out, you know. I would love to have them out and then I can walk around and see your work, but I can't do that. That's just Jaren, and Jaren's traveling. So, you know, Jaren. All right, last one. Okay, let's see if you get this one right. Go up there. Go up there. Okay, this one, be careful with. Ariel has 2/3 of a ton. That's a lot of stone. A lot. 2/3 ton of stone to spread equally. I get the way it's division. 4 square yards. How many tons of stone will she need to spread in each square yard? 4 in 1 square yard. What do you think about it? Here's my stone. And I'm gonna put it in some yards. Right, here's a yard, here's a yard. What are you gonna start out with this one? Right now, almost done. Are you done?
Okay, you're good with this.
I don't agree with this. Because 2 over 12 is not 16. I like that number, just not like that. What do you start out with? 4 square yards and divided by the stone? Or the stone divided by the 4 yards? Yeah, it's the other one. Go for it. You should get a fraction. That is less than 1. Simplify. What is 2 and 12 share in common? Simplify, not divide. There you go. Because here's why. Do this. Ready? What? Oh, yeah, look. You have 4 yards, right? When you said 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 gives me.
Real quick, Nathan.
Right? So 4 sixes, right? Does that equal 2/3?
So we have 4 yards, and we're dividing it by 2/3. Oh, is that what the question is asking? We have 2/3 tons of stone spread out over 4 yards. So, with these numbers.
Okay, if you were online, did we get 1/6?
Some of us sit.
Yeah, I'm pointing it out. Okay, so you should have started out with the stone, right? And then we're gonna spread it equally among the 4 yards. Because if you think about it, I have a lot of stone. I know it looks like a small amount, but it's really like a lot of stone. By the way, 2/3 of 2,000 pounds, right? The 2,000 pounds is a ton. Look at that. That's multiplied, right? That's 4,000 over 3, which would put you roughly at, what, 8, 9, 1, and then a 3, and then a 3, and then a 3. That's how many pounds? That's a lot, right? That's how many pounds it would be. But yes, it's this way. Here's why it is, and I was showing a couple of, Valerie and a couple over here. If you keep the first, and we already know that, and multiply by the reciprocal, you get 2 over 12, which is not a whole, because I can't have 6 pounds or 6 tons in each, because I only have 6 tons. I only have 2/3 of the ton. So just make sure that makes sense to you. So you get 1/6, but here's why. Here's a yard, here's a yard, here's a yard, and here's a yard. 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 gives me 4/6, right? Which is 2/3. That's why it works. All right. For those who are online, go ahead and start with the assignment. For those who are here, I'm going to project it so you can start it. Okay? So you can just write your answers in your notebook and then transfer them online later, or you can use, if you have your device, you can do that. We can try it. So if you're in Zoom right now, you feel free to head out. If not, that's okay. Let me go ahead and stop my recording.